Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. Welcome to the 14th episode of the Free State Sports Podcast. I'm here with my co-host for the night, Mike and Saquon. How are you guys doing today?
I'm great. Could be a little bit better as Ravens fans, but, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yep, couldn't say it better myself. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and spent time with their family and friends.
All right, well, we are officially at week 13 of the NFL season as we're starting to close out the NFL season. We already have some early playoff clinches and some playoff eliminations. Let's start off on a high note as the Kansas City Chiefs, shocker, are the first team in the NFL to clinch a playoff seed. How do you guys feel about that?
Raise your hand if you're surprised. See that? Nobody's surprised. Hate to see it. I would like to talk a little bit about the Kansas City Chiefs' luck lately. I mean, they're a really good team. They're 11-1 now.
Yeah.
So they're finding ways to win games, but and we're gonna get into it in a little bit, I think. But that last game against the Raiders, the way that ended, and then there was a blocked field goal a few weeks back.
That had nothing to do with luck.
I mean,
No, that was all. If you watch back film from a lot of the field goals, I think it was against the Broncos.
Are you referring to when their left side completely faltered and it was prone for a majority of the season on that block field goal?
Yeah.
Yep. Broncos.
And Andy Reid sought that out and saw that left side was so weak. He forced that block. He knew that was coming.
I don't even remember that, to be honest, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, that was all luck. But I mean, that was not luck. That was very good coaching, and you have to hand it to head coach Andy Reid there. But there has been a lot of lucky games. I mean, beating the Ravens off of a toe.
Yeah.
A lot of lucky games. But moving on from that, we'll get into the Raiders Chiefs later because we have our first elimination. In the NFC, the Giants have been eliminated from playoff contention. How do we feel about the Giants being eliminated?
Again, raise your hand if you're surprised. Also, Daniel Jones is out of the Giants organization now, so it's a really interesting situation over there. I feel like they're real far into the season to be making decisions like that. I feel like if they were going to do that, they should have done it much
Didn't
earlier.
Didn't they sign him to a contract like last summer?
I think
2
so.
summers ago,
Yeah,
something
it
like that.
wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, it was like a year ago.
Summer. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be in
You
a
have to finish it out.
they're going to be in a rebuilding phase, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And the Raiders have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. How do we feel about the Raiders being eliminated?
That doesn't surprise me either.
I was about to say, raise your hand if you're surprised about that as well, to be honest.
And they were eliminated on Friday, as this is a great segue. They were eliminated on Friday, the Black Friday game, against the Chiefs after a errored snap happened by center Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah.
And he prematurely snapped the ball while in field goal range, and the fumble was recovered by the Chiefs. How did we feel about that game, guys?
I thought the Raiders were going to do it. It was going to be pretty wild. Sorry, Saquon. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good, boss. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I didn't think the Raiders were going to keep it that close. And I think the week prior to that, the Chiefs just barely beat the Panthers, who I think are still the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, man, they've been squeezing out some very close wins. But I thought the Raiders were going to do it. That would have been the upset of the season, I feel.
Absolutely. Only thing I was going to add to the point was I didn't even know that this game was happening.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't.
It was.
I woke up, heard about it, and I was like, there's no way there's a game on Friday. Then I was like, oh, shoot, it's the Raiders versus the Chiefs.
As a football fan, we did a Black Friday game last year as well. So I knew it as like a hardcore football fan, but to a lot of people, it was poorly advertised.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to a game that happened on Thanksgiving. Again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. Hope you guys enjoyed some time with your family. We had a very controversial ending to the Bears-Lions game as the Lions walked away from that game 23-20. But a little something interesting happened in that game. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, I would say some 30-something seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams decided not to snap the ball.
Correct.
Matt Eberflus decided not to call a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Romo Dunze decided to run down the field, getting the crowd hyped. Not trying to get open or anything. So this was a complete offensive failure, complete leadership failure, which resulted in Matt Eberflus, by the way, I completely agree with this firing, getting fired right after giving a press conference saying, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yep.
What do you mean? Like, there was nothing else we could have done in this situation.
Right.
How do you guys feel about that?
Saquon called it. Saquon called it in the group chat when he said, yeah, he's gone. And he absolutely was. I think within like 24 hours or something like that.
Well,
Within
I mean,
24 hours, yeah.
I think the action followed by the reaction, like not calling the timeout, he would have been safe if he just didn't go out there and say, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
That was the right thing.
Yeah.
But it's that followed by it was just terrible. The sack Caleb Williams took to push him out of field goal range.
Yeah.
And then letting the clock tick down. I remember watching that and sitting there and just thinking, why aren't they doing anything?
Yeah, they have all three a lack of leadership, lack of awareness, and lack of accountability. And those three things are disastrous for any NFL team.
And everyone
Absolutely.
is talking about Matt Eberflus, but they didn't talk about Caleb Williams' interview.
What did he say?
We did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
No accountability from Caleb Williams either. And that is scary. I understand he's a rookie, and you expect a rookie to make a time mistake, you know.
Right.
But to sit there and not reflect on it, to sit there and say you did nothing wrong, while your season is hanging by a thread, and a chance to upset a divisional opponent, make a statement, make a name for yourself, and that is how you finish out the game. It makes me feel like the Bears organization was trying to tank.
It feels that way.
Yeah, then they fired Eberflus. Was it because he basically said, hey, we're tanking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also didn't help that he said that he believes that he'll continue to be the Chicago Bears coach after the season, which is hilarious.
You didn't even make it to the end of the season. And I truly think that they would have kept him if he didn't just deny accountability in that situation.
Yeah, I agree.
To me, that's showing no growth as a coach, and I would be surprised to see him back on an NFL field, a college field. Maybe some kind of weirdo high school team will pick him up, but he's welcome to come onto the podcast anytime.
Yeah, that was a very strange situation all the way around. It did not feel like I was watching an NFL team.
No.
Literally, just a lack of leadership all across the board. I want to bring up a quote that my old high school and even my middle school coach said on my basketball team. We don't need followers. We want leaders. And he wasn't speaking to one person individually. He's talking about every single person on the team. Do I believe Eberflus should have got fired? Absolutely. Do I believe it's also Caleb Williams' fault? Yes. To the wide receiver that Andrew brought up, do I believe they need to be disciplined on all parts of the field? Absolutely. We saw a couple weeks ago against the Washington Commanders, the safety, whoever it was like, come on, guys, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't playing defense whatsoever, and that's what led to a successful Hail Mary pass.
I remember
Even
that.
though this
He
is
was
Caleb's
on the sideline
rookie-
talking crap.
Yeah.
Yep, and then he went right back into the play, and they called a pass. Not even though it wasn't his guy. What are you doing in that moment?
Well, as a safety on a Hail Mary, his objective is to go over to where the play is.
Bat the ball down, not tip it up. You have tip drills.
Yeah, and
like you're supposed to be in that position to not allow that play to happen, and it did.
Right.
Congratulations to the Lions and future Coach of the Year, Dan Campbell.
Love Dan.
He's my favorite coach. I mean, I can't think of another coach besides him that is actually doing a great job. I mean, Andy Reid, but again, Andy Reid's playing in a lot of close games. Dan Campbell's blowing a lot of people out. Who would you rather have as a head coach right now?
This year, most likely Dan. The thing about Dan is he's definitely more of a risk taker. We saw that last year in the NFC Championship game.
All right, well, it looks like we can move on from that. I feel like we've beat the dead horse that is Matt Eberflus's career as a head coach in the NFL. This is all opinion based, and my name is Andrew.
One more point, though.
Oh, absolutely, Saquon.
One more point.
Yeah.
That is Andrew. Say hi, Andrew.
Hi. You can sue me if you want. It's just my opinion.
I do believe Caleb, along with the rest of the team, was a high influence on the reason why Eberflus was fired, along with Eberflus's actions. This year, of course, is Caleb's rookie year, and we have seen some mistakes and some actions that he took from college to the NFL, such as taking a long time in the pocket, taking unnecessary sacks, eyeing one side of the field. That's things that he needs to initiate, and once he becomes more comfortable in the pocket, comfortable in the locker room, become a leader, I think we'll see a different person this year compared to next year. That's my only take.
That's a pretty good take. I mean, I really want to see Caleb Williams grow from this.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have to wait to next week. We have to wait until he gets into another 2-minute drill. We have to wait and see. But that type of leadership is what gets you benched after a year. That is Anthony Richardson levels of bad.
That is the first person that popped into my head, too.
Yeah.
Moving on, though, as we got a very surprising blowout, at least to me, as the Steelers went into Cincinnati and blew the Bengals out. And the ending score was 44-38, but don't let that fool you, because the Steelers dominated this game. It was back and forth in the first half. But then Joe Burrow struggled to keep up with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson had himself a game over 400 yards passing. Joe Burrow put up a measly 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 sacks, and 2 fumbles. You can't blame that on the defense, Cincinnati fans.
Yeah, that's not a very strong performance for Joe Burrow. The fact that team puts up that many points, though, and still continues to lose games is insane to me.
Well, this was 38 after the Steelers already put up 44.
True, yeah.
I mean, the Steelers, the Bengals were doing what it took to try to climb back in the game, but it was out of reach.
I definitely didn't have Russell Wilson balling out like that on my bingo card, to be honest with you.
Zach Taylor continues to be a very questionable head coach in the league.
Yeah.
What do you guys think needs to happen in Cincinnati to change this culture they're currently in?
I got to be honest, and I've been saying this off podcast for the last few weeks, and I think most of us agree. I think Zach Taylor's got to go. I think we saw some of the questionable play calls against the Ravens on 3rd and short and then 4th and short. Same 2 deep shots he took back-to-back. He's made some questionable other play calls have been in there, some interesting decisions that coaching staff has made. And I don't know, to have a team that loaded and to still continue to lose games at that rate is, to me, that's a telltale sign that something's got to change in the coaching staff. So I think Zach Taylor might be out next year in Cincinnati.
I agree. I can make a wild. Can I make a wild take?
Yeah.
Interesting take.
Yeah.
If the Bengals was 8-4 instead of 4-8, I can say without shadow of doubt that Joe Shiesty would be in the MVP candidate.
Yeah. No, it's harsh, and that's we're gonna get into the MVP conversation a little bit later, but it's hard to put up a guy into the MVP spot when they're performing so badly. Not performing, but their team is performing badly. But it also raises questions because Joe Burrow did struggle in this game.
Yeah.
So how much can that? I mean, I'm not denying the Bengals defense made Russell Wilson look like he was prime Ben Roethlisberger, and they made Najee Harris look like he was prime Le'Veon Bell. I mean, that's just it. And it really looked like the refs were gonna screw the Steelers over at the beginning of the game. I mean, that little personal foul taunting against George Pickens was kind of bullcrap, if you ask me. Really? This is coming from a Ravens fan. They targeted George Pickens twice with taunting. They didn't eject him, but I just don't understand the need for that. The Bengals started that game off like punting and then getting a pick six, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of them games, and then it's just they kept pace, and the commentators all game. You don't want to get in a shootout with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And then the Steelers started pulling away.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Just TJ Watt got in there, stripped Joe Burrow, and that turned the tide to the game.
Yeah. that doesn't surprise me either. The Steelers very underrated team this year. I feel they got a lot of potential. This is one of
Most
the
likely
games
going to win the AFC North.
Yeah, which
Most-
pains me to say as a Ravens fan.
Honestly, it's a well deserved. We said it in previous podcasts. It's for me. I've now said it that this is Najee Harris's season. This is a make or break season. Whether he does great or he does bad determines on if he stays with the Steelers. So to see him do as good as he has is awesome. To see the transition from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson is also impressive. And we also have given praises to Mike Tomlin as a coach, being one of the only coaches in the NFL ? That's never had a negative season. I believe in the Steelers organization, so that's
That is
great.
correct. Yeah.
I will not be upset if they win the AFC Championship, the AFC North. My apologies, or whatever league they're in. I won't be upset about that, but from a Ravens perspective, I just know that we should be doing better, and we're not. So
I
it is
agree.
what it is.
I agree.
I
100%.
agree. Moving on, as we saw Houston take care of business in Jacksonville, winning that game 23-20. But we saw a very scary hit on a sliding Trevor Lawrence that resulted in Lawrence leaving that game early with a concussion. Thoughts and prayers out there to Trevor Lawrence and his family. But Mac Jones came into the game and nearly came back and won. He definitely outperformed Trevor Lawrence in that game. Outperformed Trevor Lawrence pretty much this entire season.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah, he went 20 for 32, 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence in this game was 4 for 10, 41 yards and a pick.
Damn. Yeah, that contract that they gave Trevor Lawrence that we criticized back when it first broke, they are not getting a good return on investment with Trevor Lawrence at all. And again, you hate to see him go down, and I obviously wish the best for him. Concussions are no joke. Did you guys see the actual hit that caused the injury?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was wild. What did you guys think of the hit?
Very reminiscent of Joe Flacco getting his head taken off by Kiko Alonso.
Yeah.
I will never forget that name.
Joe Flacco did not get a concussion that game, by the way.
Somehow.
Yeah, wild. It looked like he was. He didn't even look like he knew where he was.
Yeah.
Never going to forgive that Marine fighter pilot.
Kiko Alonso.
Yeah.
Yeah. To Mike's point, the Jags are definitely not getting their money back. I brought it up about other quarterbacks. I'm not too sure who the Jags would have seeked out for a contract in the quarterback position. I'm sure there's some options out there, but
Obviously, Mac Jones.
Oh yeah, clearly
who's outperforming Trevor Lawrence. My bad.
We've seen that before. No, you good. We've seen that before, where the starter will go down, and then the backup will pop off, and then they'll just slowly digress. For instance, Joe Flacco in the Colts. When Joe started, we were all like, "Oh yeah, Joe's gonna do great." First game, second game, okay. Third game, just slowly digress down. Teddy Bridgewater many years ago with the Saints, I believe, and then he went to the Panthers as a starter, and we didn't see the same person, just slowly digress.
Regress.
I'm not. Is it regress? Digress?
Yeah, digress is when you want to get back on track in the middle of a conversation. I digress.
Appreciate you. I had a 2.3 in high school.
Same. English is hard. It is.
But if Trevor doesn't improve, I'm not too sure how long his contract is. I'm assuming it's probably like a 3-year, 4-year.
I want to say it was 4 years.
4-year.
I want to say.
If he doesn't improve, then I can see him taking a step down somehow. I don't believe that they're going to take the same route as NYG did with Daniel Jones. But
a 5-year deal.
Is a 5-year deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to improve, because unlike some, if not half the league, he's had a set of weapons around him. So
it's really bad for the Jaguars, because Trevor Lawrence is on a 5-year deal for $275 million, but $200 million of that is all guaranteed.
Yikes.
That's a lot of guaranteed money.
Yeah.
I remember that being one of the things we criticized too.
Was guaranteed. Well, yeah. Anytime I think about that amount of money and then guaranteeing, I always fall back into Deshaun Watson for some reason. Come on, okay, cool. This is a bad contract, but how bad is it compared to Deshaun Watson, the guy that didn't play for 2 years? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of odd. Where Trevor Lawrence has made to the playoffs, I believe it was what 2020, 2021. The last time we saw Deshaun Watson in the playoffs was 2019, and was during the first Kansas City Super Bowl run, where he came back from being the Texans, the Bills, and another team that I can't recall.
I'm not going to
So
lie to you. I don't know how, if you're part of the Jaguars organization or the Jaguars fan base or just a Jaguars fan in general, how can you sit down and watch that game, which was against the Chargers, where Trevor Lawrence in the first half threw 3 interceptions to Asante Samuel Jr. And the Jaguars still came back and won. Don't get me wrong. But to watch someone throw 3 interceptions in a game and then lose in the next game and be like, yeah, that's our guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they had a couple good games out of him, and they just jumped on that bandwagon, and they've been riding that thing hard ever since. It's kind of crazy.
no, I agree.
People have been on the Trevor Lawrence bandwagon since he was drafted at number 1 overall. But as we saw with Baker Mayfield, I mean, Johnny Manziel, and anyone really taken at the first pick, it just never works out.
Yeah.
Bryce Young, not working out.
Yeah, not working out at all.
I also wanted to point out that my MVP pick, C.J. Stroud, also was outperformed today by Mac Jones.
Damn.
In the same game, C.J. Stroud, 22 for 34 with a touchdown, 242 yards. Refresher on Mac Jones, 20 of 32, 235 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
That's pretty wild. Another thing I didn't have on my bingo card.
Yeah.
Hate to see it. Love to see it.
Really do. Hate to see it. Love
It
to
goes
see
to
it.
show the value of when your pick doesn't quite matter.
No, yeah, yep.
And to some organizations, they believe that they have no other choice but to keep the guy that they have rather than see what's out in the market. I remember there was a point in time where Lamar Jackson, the 2-time MVP, was on the market for a brief time. Everyone was like, I'm all right.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yep. All right. Well, here's where we move on to the greatest part of our portion, as the Eagles went into Baltimore and took care of business. This was a great game to watch, especially if you're a Ravens fan. You only wanted to cry a lot. It makes you really feel something and brings you back to reality that Lamar Jackson can't do everything.
Correct.
And it's especially as harsh now that Justin Tucker can't do anything.
Yeah.
He missed an extra point and 2 field goals. I mean, they weren't gimme field goals. An extra point is a gimme, but he missed that.
Right.
But the point is, we are reliant. Lamar Jackson puts you in the position to make this kick, and you miss it. This game ended 24-19, and Justin Tucker left 7 points on the board. 7 points. Lamar Jackson had a pretty good game. 23 of 36, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns. He outperformed Jalen Hurts, who won the game. Derrick Henry had 19 carries, just like 19 carries for like 83 yards, I want to say. 82 yards. That's pretty good. Lamar Jackson, 8 carries for 79 yards. That's pretty good. But the problem came when the game mattered most. Justin Tucker couldn't take care of business.
Which is not something I ever thought would be the case in a million years. I don't know what's going on with him. We saw him start to slip into a little bit of a mental rut a little while back. But to see it still going this strong and really at an all-time high is crazy. I think they said he's missed 10 field goals now, most in the NFL, which is insane. That's now, we did talk about off podcast. There's been a lot of missed field goals across the board in the NFL. Kind of weird. I feel like there's been way more this year than there have been in previous years.
Well, it's been a late struggle as of the last 5 years that kickers have been missing field goals. But the Ravens fans were unaffected. We had Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
But now we're being outperformed. Any kicker we go against makes every field goal.
Right.
And it's honestly embarrassing.
It is. And I hate to see it because, like we said off podcast, I love Justin Tucker as a guy and I feel for him. But you got to wonder how much longer he can go like this before before he gets replaced. We saw
Today.
we saw John Harbaugh hugging him on the sideline and giving him reassurance. But at the end of the day, if you're missing the majority of your field goals, you're not going to keep your job in the NFL, especially if those field goals are field goals that would have won you the game.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been a completely different game. The Ravens were shutting out the Eagles in the second half. Our defense showed up.
They did.
We held them to 14 points in the first half. We would have been up by a point in the first half. I don't know.
Yeah, it blows my mind, honestly, the fact that we have to talk about Justin Tucker like this. It really hurts my soul.
Yeah.
Well, I can only say this. I believe that the end of an era is upon us in Baltimore. I really do. And I'm not only talking about Justin Tucker. I'm talking about coaching staff, hiring people, and staff. I don't know who, the trash guy out back. I don't know. Something needs to change because the first half of our season, our defense is doing horrible. Even still, we're bottom 5 when it comes to the pass in the NFL. We're leading the NFL in penalties, which is atrocious.
We played a pretty clean game today, though.
Yeah, today was great.
Yeah.
Today was great. How is Justin Tucker, the guy not too long ago, Mr. Automatic, the GOAT, the best kicker in the league, is a liability? I would have never thought that Justin Tucker would be a liability to the team, and he is. I'm not sure what we need to do come this offseason or postseason if we even make it, but something needs to change.
I still think the AFC is fairly weak, and we're going to make it.
I agree. I'm not too worried about us making the postseason. I am worried about how we're going to look when we get there, though.
I was saying we need a complete culture change, and I don't know. I feel like it's a lot to do with Justin Tucker. He's lost us a couple games this season.
Yeah.
Alone.
Which is weird because he's usually the one winning us games.
Yeah. Something just needs to change all around, in my opinion, because why did we trade a draft pick for a guy that we're not even using?
I mean, I would even argue with our offensive production today. Offense played good.
But the offense was never the problem to begin with, to be honest. It's mainly been defense and Tucker, to be honest. And then John Harbaugh challenging plays that he doesn't need to challenge.
Yeah, well, we didn't get any of that. We got pretty good coaching decisions today.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why Lamar Jackson wanted to go airborne trying to pick up a first down, but that's neither here nor there.
That kick on.
Yeah, that was insane.
That's neither here or there. They got the first down the next play. But yeah. I don't see any problems with the coaching decisions. I mean, I'm not liking the toss plays to Derrick Henry too much, but he also makes stuff out of those sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of his biggest runs of the season were off of toss plays. I saw that
I still
coming.
believe we need to run him more, especially in the second half, because I've made it an argument that we run him less than I expected, and even John Harbaugh said we won't be running him 30 attempts per game, which is fair. No, it's fair. And people have noticed that come the second half, he does progressively better. So come second half, I do believe that we need to utilize him a lot more. Yeah, but he had a good showing today.
Yeah, we couldn't utilize Henry today.
I will say we did a better job of containing Saquon Barkley than I thought we were going to until the fourth quarter.
Late touchdown. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you expect when our offense is giving great field position and Tucker can't make a field goal? Ugh, just embarrassing. And everything could have been different, and it just wasn't.
I give him one more year.
Who, Tucker?
I don't even know if I give him that. I give him the rest of this one.
Yeah, dude. If he can't pull it out this year, he's got to be gone. It's a business. We've let go of players for less.
That's very true.
That's fair.
I mean, you saw Chicago's coach get fired for one mistake. So.
Yeah. Well, no, he's had several mistakes.
He made multiple mistakes.
That's true. But now so has Justin Tucker. So
yeah,
same boat, I guess.
I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, we could get an insane rookie kicker next year and win a Super Bowl with him, just like we did with Tucker.
I mean, I said this off podcast, but I feel like I don't know how you would make it work, like roster-wise, but I would consider bringing in a kicker to at least put pressure on the man because he hasn't stepped up yet. And I know it's easier said than done, but I don't know. When you're not performing in the NFL,
No.
somebody else has got to step in and do your job. That's just the way it works.
I agree.
Nope.
With
I
that
believe
all-
some people deserve the Aaron Donald treatment.
With
Tucker's
that-
definitely in a position to go.
With that all being said, I do want to offer congratulations to Philadelphia fans and the Eagles. If any of you players are out there watching this, Saquon Barkley is majestic.
He is. I don't know why the Giants
and-
let him go to a rival. That's insane to me.
Well, all they did was cut him. They let him walk.
The Eagles took advantage. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, look. Anyway, Saquon Barkley did great. Jalen Hurts played a great game. I mean, he didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts looks a lot better situationally, and that was one of the things I touched on earlier in the season because this matchup was actually my early pick for Super Bowl matchup this year. And I said that I thought the Eagles would be off to a slow start and that Jalen Hurts would take some time to get it together, and that's kind of exactly how it's shaped up. So their defense looked really good today, too.
I just also wanted to point out Lamar Jackson outperformed Jalen Hurts.
He did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't surprise me, honestly.
He usually does. When
And
it comes to
now-
most quarterbacks in the league.
This leads me to my last topic. I'm sorry it's such a short episode. We're trying to get back on our feet after taking a short break. Congratulations for your engagement, Mike. Mike got engaged.
Thank you. I did. It's been great. It's been wonderful.
For my last topic, I wanted to talk about how the MVP race is shaping up as Lamar Jackson falls to 8-5. It's kind of getting harder to see Lamar taking this home. So basically, what a lot of people are saying is it's coming down to Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley. I would give the edge to Saquon Barkley.
I would, too.
Same here.
Josh Allen has struggled in 2 games so far this season against the Ravens, and the other game was against.
I think it was the one right before the Ravens, but I
No, it
can't
was right
remember.
after the Ravens.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Everyone
can't
was
remember who
worried
it
because we
was.
were going up against an undefeated Bills squad.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley's looked phenomenal, though. He's on track for 2,000 yards, no doubt.
It was against the
Texans.
Texans, yep. Where he threw for 30% completion percentage. I don't see how somebody who throws for a 30% completion percentage can be considered an MVP in this league.
I agree.
That is not
Over here. 9
quarterbacky.
for 30, 131 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, that is not quarterbacky, and I'm not saying that to be ironic or anything. What I'm saying is that's not consistent. That's not consistent. And
Right.
he's against the Ravens. He was very inconsistent and didn't look like Josh Allen. But you know who has been really consistent this year?
Who's that?
Saquon Barkley.
Very true.
You know who carried the Eagles to a victory over Lamar Jackson today?
Saquon Barkley.
Justin Tucker.
Got him.
And Saquon Barkley. Okay, fair enough. But also Justin Tucker.
True.
He had 107 today.
hmm
That's very respectable, especially against the number 2 ranked run defense in the league.
Yeah.
But the Ravens, I mean, it was surprising. We played a great game all around, except for special teams in general. I mean, we got pinned inside of our 5 twice.
Yeah.
Tylen Wallace muffed a punt.
Special teams really was the issue this game.
But that ended up being called back anyway with a flag.
Yeah.
So I guess I can't hold that too much. He muffed the punt. It was a problem.
Yeah.
But he also recovered it. That was a pretty
There was
nice
also
recovery.
a punt that Jordan Stout had that
Shanked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been bad.
It could have.
Yeah.
So special teams was very inconsistent today, to say the least.
Yeah.
That might be an understatement. They were kind of trash all the way around.
But our defense performed very well, and I get not being able to contain Saquon all game.
Yeah.
You can only do so much, especially against elite talent. Wiggins was kind of exposed a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's forgivable. Again, Jalen Hurts, 56% completion percentage in that range. 117 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions, no fumbles, nothing spectacular. 29 yards on the ground. But he was a great game manager, and he helped carry this team to a victory. Congratulations, Eagles, and I wish you success the rest of the year, and I'm rooting for you guys in the NFC. And I hope if the Ravens don't make the Super Bowl, let the Eagles kill the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
I would like anybody to beat the Chiefs, to be honest.
I'm just here so I won't be fun.
Except for the Steelers or the Bengals.
Yeah.
To be honest.
That is really all I have. So, we are going to go into and start recording our next episode for our wrestling podcast. We're going to be covering the recent PLE, which is Survivor Series, that happened on Saturday. So that's something to look forward to. That releases on Friday night.
Absolutely. We still do our main episodes every other Wednesday and our wrestling episodes every other Friday. So if you like wrestling, come over there. Both are available on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify, and all that's in the description.
Yep.
Saquon, you got anything else to say?
Yeah, quick, PSA about the game and its results. Mike, Andrew, and I are huge Ravens fans. They've been Raven fans since the jump. I've been a Ravens fan since maybe the mid-2010s. I don't care what the results was regarding Justin Tucker. Please do not blow up this man's inbox with death threats.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's
Point.
something I haven't mentioned yet because that's a great thought because that's something that as a normal Ravens fans, like don't get me wrong, I get emotional, I get upset, I get sad, but what I don't do is let this dictate the rest of my day.
Right.
What I don't do is take this out of what it truly is, which is a game. It's a game that a lot of people enjoy. It's a game with millions of dollars riding on it, but it is a game. In the end of the day, I mean, honestly, and I hate to be that guy, but boo-hoo if you lost the bet because of Justin Tucker.
You're right.
That is your fault for betting on a man who's been missing kicks all year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boo-hoo if you lost the bet on the Ravens. That is your fault for trusting in a team that has let us down all year.
Precisely. These guys are professional athletes. By the end of the day, they are human. They will make mistakes. If any athlete was perfect, every team would have a tie. Their record would be 50-50.
Oh, that reminds me.
It is what it is.
I'm a big chess nerd, and if you truly play a game of chess at 100% on both sides, it will always end in a draw. That's a great point, Saquon.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
In the words of Andrew, it's always next week. There's always another game. It is what it is. Just got to press on. That's all I had to say.
Wise words, wise words.
All right, from all of us at Free State Sports Podcast, catch you on next episode or catch you in our Friday wrestling episode.
Absolutely. Deuces.
Peace.